What is going on, you guys? My name is Rage and I hope you're doing well, staying safe. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Apocalypse Saga here in terms of the 4 legendary horsemen, but as well as using the clues that we've seen already in this year, trying to identify what this final team could be in terms of, the given trait and the mode. And that could further give us insight in terms of that final legendary horseman once that it's officially announced. So I mean, that being said, a lot of players out there have had guesses from the very beginning on who these horsemen could be. Honestly, the only one I kind of got right was Rogue, because it seemed pretty obvious with the release of Gambit coming out that the connection there was inevitable. And then we also got the leaks before on Red Hulk, so that was nice to see. But yeah, a lot of back and forth in terms of what this final horseman team could be. But as for the character, it can honestly be anyone, but I figured I'd use this video in terms of using the insight we've seen this year with the new teams, as well as the current Apocalypse teams that we've seen so far, and as well as using this information together to really get a sense, ideally, what this final team could be and what we can potentially look forward to. So that's it, guys. Let's get started with our brainstorming. So what I've done here on screen is I've populated all the different Apocalypse teams here, as well as all the new teams that have been released in 2022. And the reason I did this because, it's very unlikely that we're going to see a repeated team just because of the given mode and the trait specification that they like. Unless it was, initially very early in the year, that could potentially be an outcome here. But I want to walk you guys through my mindset here and get your thoughts, as well as, please feel free to comment down below if you guys have any ideas generated from this video, because at the end of the day, it's all fun and games just to see what potentially this final team could be. So just as a review here, guys, if you recall, starting off this year, we opened up the sagas really with the Darkhold team, and consisting of the mystic traits here, and they already told us that each of these Apocalypse teams would have a given niche, a given mode that they would excel exceptionally in. So in this case, Darkhold, set the stage here for being in the arena meta. Next up, we followed that up with the Unlimited X-Men team, led by Rogue, and they're a mutant team, obviously, and they're just absolutely crushing Cosmic Crucible now. And then lastly, we haven't seen the impact of this yet, is because of Red Hulk's kit not being fully available, but when we know the Gamma team is consisting mainly of bio characters, and they are going to be setting up the stage here to excel in war. So now, what I haven't read here is just a guess for myself, but I mean, to be quite honest, when they've given us that promise that each team would be an expert niche, the last and final most involved stage of the game is raids, right? Like, I can't see them honestly making a team specifically for Dark Dimension. That wouldn't really make sense, just because Dark Dimension can only be run twice and that's it, right? I also can't see them rerunning any other mode, because they said that it would be only done once for each expert area. So in this case, raids is really the only one I can potentially see it being the final and last mode. Maybe real-time arena, but it's not popular, so I really doubt they would do that. And then yeah, don't even get me started with blitzing, because honestly speaking, all these teams are blitz viable, so it has to almost be a raid team. So now that leads us to the question of, if it is going to be a raid team, what is the standard that we need right now that hasn't been set? What are we missing right now in the nodes when we go through Doom 2 and Doom 3? Is there a specific pain point that we're having right now that needs to be addressed? And funny enough, there actually kind of is, right? There can be, in my opinion, there can be 2 realistic outcomes. So let's first take a look at all these new teams that have been released to date. And keep in mind, guys, this does include some reworks here and there, but I've excluded the one-offs, but generally these are for the full revised teams that have come about in 2022. So Web Warriors, they were specifically mainly consisting of bio characters and excelling in the raids, right? Young Avengers, mainly bio, excelling in war, as well as being very prominent in Cosmic Crucible, but their stats actually specifically state that they're intended to be used as a war team. Ravagers, Tech and War. Dark Hunters, mainly Mystic, as well as intended for war. A-Force, mainly bio, as well as intended for war. We have Heroes as Guardians, mainly Mystic as well, consisting of other skilled characters, but mainly for war. And then lastly, the most recent one, as you're all aware, got absolutely crushing the Doom 3 raids, the Bionic Avengers, being that tech trait, and again, being a niche that we needed for so long, because the tech node specifically just needed a lot of love, and we didn't have a set team. And And now we do, and it's been a beautiful slot in. You know, basically what the Web Warriors did when they first initially came in for the bio nodes, as opposed to symbiotes having that pain point of getting through and just slugging through it. So now, guys, now that we have kind of these statistics in terms of assessing the trend as well as familiar traits, there's two specific traits that I'm seeing that's completely lacking here that you can see, and it's very obvious to me because if you're familiar with the game and you're familiar with the 5 traits in the game, the one that is missing from this group is a skilled team. There isn't any. Some of these teams have skilled characters, but there hasn't really been a full skilled team. You can argue that Secret Avengers, they were, you know, obviously brought up specifically for the Doom raids, and here, let me show you guys here. With the skilled Avengers, though, Secret Avengers, even with them, they only consist of 3 characters, being Captain America Sam, Sharon Carter, and Maria Hill, right? So, could potentially these characters get reworked later on and get 2 more slot members? 100%. But I'm not sure because they were still fairly new to the game, so that's the only one off I can see. The other situation that I potentially see is the fact that Astonishing X-Men, they were intended to be a raid team, but you can already see that they are losing kind of their value because they were, you know, they were doing decent in Doom 2, but it was only because of the way it was designed that you could take advantage of their turn meter. So we don't really see that prominence as much in the Doom 3 raids. Now that we have the chance to actually mix things up with Rogue and Omega Red, being 2 very powerful legendary characters that we can utilize. So going back to this screenshot here, the 2 prominent traits that I can see potentially getting added then would be the mutants or a potential team that actually has skill. And I think it's very likely that it's going to be intended for the raids because, again, like I said earlier, it's the one game mode that we as endgame players are involved day by day, and you know, technically the skilled section and the mutant section could use a little bit of love. I think Bio is doing great. Mystic is doing phenomenal with Eternals, and then we're also doing really good now with Tech, especially with the Bionic Avengers. So there you guys have it. I think that's kind of where it's leading us to right now. Obviously, if there's any more news, I'll definitely make some more videos, but I'm curious what you guys think based on this analysis. It seems obvious to me that it has to be a raid team, and at the end of the day, it's leaning towards either skill or mutants. Even speculation that, you know, it could be Archangel as the final legendary horseman, which, you know, that would be a mutant that would align with what we would expect, right? But at the end of the day, it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but I'm very curious what you think. Thank you as always, you guys. Do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.